you can immediately apply this concept. Okay. So what is recontextualization? Okay, we're going to break this down. It is a lifelong practice where we receive information about our context, which is at the intersection of reflexive environments, and we practice integration of this information into knowledges and practices. Okay, this is a mouthful. This is my operational definition for it, and I have to break it down. So let's do that together. Context. I want you to think about, and it's best to do this in examples, I want you to think about what your context is currently, whatever age you're at, whatever stage of life you're at. And now I want you to think about the context for when you were in your early 20s. Very different, right? Now I want you to think about your context as like an 8-year-old. Even more different context, correct? So we can think about context as being very specific to time, place, space, our relational environment or relational landscape. And this term reflexive, right? We act on our environments just as our environments act on us, right? You live at home with your family, the family interactions impact you, just like your interactions impact the family, right? So there's reciprocity in our environments. Now, taking this a step further, we receive information about our context, we practice integration of information, and practice is not just a theoretical thing. Don't get me wrong, I think theoretical is great, it's essential, it's important to philosophize. Practice is far more important though. Taking these large concepts, making them practical, making them bite-sized, and making them doable in our day-to-day lives. So this is about taking information in, looking at it, and going, okay, I'm taking it and applying it. This is the process of recontextualization, and why the letters re or re are bracketed, because this is not a one and done type of thing. We will continue to contextualize, recontextualize throughout the rest of our lives. So here are some key components of this process. First of all, we have to have psychological flexibility. Any of you who have joined in previous talks, you're probably tired of hearing me talk about psychological flexibility. I swear by it. It really does apply just about anywhere. So we have to have openness and willingness. Those are the key essential parts of psychological flexibility. Curiosity is also important in this process. It's kind of implied in flexibility. So first of all, we're practicing openness and willingness, and we go, I'm curious about the world around me. Okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to gather information about my environment and how I'm interacting with my environment, how my environment's interacting with me. You're going to see me doing this gesture. We're going out into the world, we're gathering information, and we bring it in. At this point, we're looking at the information. Okay. Interesting. I don't do things this way, but I notice other people doing things a particular way. I think an example that I used recently with a client who was having some difficulty with scheduling at work and trying to manage tasks with dealing with, symptoms of ADHD, we had to block their schedule. And they start and end their day with emails, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, leading up to leaving work. And it also helps protect their time. I don't know how many of y'all work in service-oriented positions. You do not start projects at the end of the day. That is the worst way to end the day because you won't leave on time. If you don't leave on time, you're not practicing good boundaries of work. Now, whether we opt to volunteer to stay or to take extra things on, that's separate. But this is an example of how we can have good boundaries with our work and realize that, other people practice things differently. I wonder how that could apply, right? So we're looking at this information, And we go, okay, it's almost kind of like you're washing it over your head. All right, I'm taking it in, I'm going to apply it. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start my workday by checking emails, and I'm gonna end the workday by checking emails. Now, don't get me in trouble with anybody's supervisors or bosses, because maybe that's not how they want you to do it. All right, just an example. But this is important because it helps us see what options are available. With this particular client that I was working with, that was such a simple solution that they hadn't thought of. And they went, wow, that's a game changer. I didn't even see that as an option, right? So this helps us open our eyes, learn to give ourselves options, which adds to our growing repertoire for how to respond to and with the world around us. So this next part here, very practical. This is definitely on the handout. So tips. This is how we practice. 1, ask yourself, am I open and willing right now? Now, this may not always elicit an excited yes. So I'll run through an example with you. You wake up late to your alarm and you go, oh my gosh, I have to get going to work. I don't have time to eat breakfast. I'll get something on the way. Oh, okay. You stop and get coffee. Oh, the line's too long. Okay, well, I'll just find something, at work. We always have a work colleague who helps us out with snacks. I was the snack lady. So, okay, we get to work, we're feeling rushed, or, our morning didn't go the way we wanted to. And your supervisor or your boss comes in and says, hey, I have this special project that needs your attention today. You have the whole day, but I want to talk to you about it first thing this morning. When you ask yourself this question, am I open and willing right now? What do you think you're going to, we're asking it internally, of course. How do you think you're going to respond? Probably not the most open and willing given the morning we just had. Now, you get a snack from your snack person at work. You grab a little bit of coffee. You fully land with being in the office, right? And you go, okay, I'll ask myself that question again. The answer could very well be different. And why I'm spending so much time emphasizing this is psychological flexibility is not an on-off switch. You can't just turn it on when you want, and it's not helpful to turn it off even if you want to. It's something that is contextual, tying back in, right? So this next step is to notice. I like telling clients and myself and friends and family and just about anybody who will listen to me, everything is information to work with. Our feelings, our experiences, our somatic responses. And the next thing we want to do is ask ourselves, what did I notice? When my boss said that they wanted to talk to me about a project, my stomach started hurting. That's information. We might sit with that. We might interpret that a little bit to go, oh gosh, I'm just not ready. I'm already feeling a little stressed out. Okay, sitting with that information, this next part here, oh gosh, I'm already feeling stressed out. We can go, okay, what can I do to, help regulate my stress levels right now? I might take my 10-minute earlier than normal today, and I'm going to go take a walk. I don't want to sit in the office for 10 minutes. I'm going to go take a walk. That is a way to, in that kind of like process, you have asked yourself this question, what can I do with this information and how can it inform how I move within my context? And at this point, all we do is repeat. Practice psychological flexibility. We start here, we go and we gather information, we bring it back and we look at it, and then we integrate it and we come right back here. This is what you'll be doing for the rest of your life because we're dynamic, our environments are dynamic, and the people in our environments, turns out, also dynamic, right? Now, something to keep in mind for this is you might spend a lot of time gathering information, and maybe it's a slow process. And then maybe you quickly integrate it, or vice versa. Everybody has their own style, their own approach, and there's no right or wrong way to go about it, timing-wise. So what I'd like you to do next is, I want you to just sit here I want you to think of a difficult experience that you've had at work recently that had an impact on you. Think about the qualities of that difficult experience. What was the context? What contributing factors were in your power and control? And what contributing factors were not? How have you been holding space with that information? And how will you hold space with that information moving forward? I wanted to include this today because if you're like me, I need examples. It helps, right? So this is a way to structure recontextualization with questions that we can ask ourselves with a beginning, middle, and kind of end, and with having it be future focused towards the end of the prompt while also acknowledging that we had a difficult experience, right? So this is what I'd like you to think of, a great way to apply this concept and practice of recontextualization. As much as I would love for the opportunity to hear some of the examples, we do have a short session today. Not to mention confidentiality can get a little tricky with sharing some of this stuff, mostly because it's related to work, and I wouldn't want anyone to, find themselves in a tricky position. So at this point, what we'll do is we